Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm doing a nearly full face of Tom Ford Beauty. So I am creating a look using the beautiful Honeymoon palette. I actually have not done a look using this palette on my channel yet, so I really wanted to do that while also showing you some of my favorite Tom Ford products. I don't show Tom Ford products nearly enough, or I've never actually done like a full face of Tom Ford before. So I really wanted to show you my standouts from the brand and what I love and recommend, because obviously it's a higher price point. So I want to show you what I think is worth it. And I think just showing you this look with this palette was perfect for this time of year. This screams like fall foliage to me. Before I get started in this look, I just want to show you some of the swatches. So if you can see that, it is such a beautiful sheen. Again, there is no glitter in this formula at all. And these shades can be used wet or dry. So these are dry swatches, and they just give you the most beautiful sheen that is very elegant and refined on the eyes. It is nothing over the top, so you can use these day or night. They're very universal colors that I think are flattering on anyone as well. Just one of the most beautiful palettes. If you can just see how they are so melty and they just give that lovely sheen without looking over the top. So I just thought I'd show you swatches of the palette beforehand. And again, if you do want more intensity than this, you can just use them wet. So that's it for the swatches. If you want to see this Tom Ford look, just keep watching. With this Tom Ford Honeymoon palette, you can see there are no mattes in this formula. And this is totally optional. You can just go ahead and use these shimmers on its own. So to start off with, I'm going to take the Tom Ford bronzer in the shade Gold Dust. And this is optional. I just want to add a little bit of a transition, because this is going to be more of like a sultry kind of evening look. I just want something to ground the look, and this will kind of complete the look at the end and tie everything together. So next I'm just going to take the second shade in the palette right here, and I'm going to take it on a Sonia G Blender Pro, and I am just going to use this again as a transition color. So I'm just going to place this on the outer corner, and then actually I'm going to kind of really work on depositing pigment there. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more, and then this time kind of stamp it on that outer corner. And then I am also going to take that and blend it into the crease as well. And I'm not going to bring it all the way to the inner crease. I'm just going to kind of keep it more on the outer corner, because again, I'm going for that more sultry look. And these shadows are beautiful if you use a blending brush like this, because you get a very diffused and soft look. And the sheen almost really, it disperses on the eyes in such a beautiful way. So it almost doesn't even appear as you've applied shimmer onto like your crease or anything like that. But these are beautiful if you apply them with a flat brush as well, because you'll obviously get more pigmentation. And these work really great with a finger as well. This wet dry formula, you can get more color payoff if you use your finger, get more of that opaque color payoff. It's just really, really stunning on the eyes. And again, since it is that big jelly formula, these really meld into the eyes so beautifully. So if you have more mature eyes, this is a great formula to work with. I think it just looks beautiful on absolutely anyone. They're just those eyeshadows that enhances anyone's beauty regardless of your age, and they're so sophisticated and subtle on the eyes. So it's a very beautiful look on anyone and for any occasion. So I just love this eyeshadow palette to create this more like romantic, sultry looks. I think this color story is perfect for this time of year. But I'm going to go ahead again and dip my finger into this second shade again, just so I can get more opacity with this. And I'm basically just going to stamp that onto the outer corner of my eye, just to get a bit more of that color payoff there. And again, you just get more color payoff just right on that outer corner, which is what I want. And then next I am going to take the lightest shade in this palette. It's like a light gold that is so stunning. And again, just taking my fingertip, and I'm going to apply that all over the inner half of the lid. And then I'm just going to kind of melt those two colors together on the outer corner by just dabbing my finger just kind of like that, just so there's no harsh lines or anything. But this is so beautiful. Again, you get that very subtle sheen. It is nothing over the top, nothing too shimmery. There are no glitter particles in these shades. They just give you that beautiful elegance on the eyes. And they're that formula that just melts right in, and it never looks too harsh or too over the top. So next for eyeliner, I actually do have a few Tom Ford eyeliners, but I don't know what they're doing with their eyeliners. The emotion-proof liners don't seem to really be available anymore. I really like this formula, great longevity, especially in the waterline. And then they also had their eye Kohls. This is the shade Metallic Mink, which is absolutely beautiful, one of my favorite eyeliners, but again, discontinued. So I'm going to go with something that is permanent, and this is actually just a MAC eyeliner. This is one of their eye Kohls, so it's great for smudging out. Not really great in the waterline just because, again, it's a Kohl, so it's quite smudgy. but I want to create like a smudgy kind of eyeliner look. So I'm taking Costa Riche from MAC, and I'm just going to draw this across my upper lash line, mostly just from the outer half to the, meeting it up to like the middle. I'm not drawing it all the way across. So just like that. You don't have to be super precise because again, I'm going to smudge it out. And to smudge that out, I'm going to take the deepest shade that has like a purple tinge to it in the Tom Ford palette, taking it with a Wayne Goss 07 brush. So I'm just going to dip that in and then smudge out that eyeliner. The eyeliner step is optional. You could just go straight in with this kind of purpley tone. But I just, again, want this look to be a little more nighttime appropriate. So again, I'm going for that sultry kind of elegant evening look. So I just thought this would be appropriate. And I just like the color combination of that kind of deeper warm brown from the Costa Riche eyeliner with this purple shade. I think it looks really stunning on the eyes, but again, it's nothing too over the top or anything. So there is a swatch of the matte Costa Riche. So it is a deeper brown, but it has warm tones to it. I feel like a lot of brown eyeliners are either on the cooler side or they're super deep brown. So I like that this is kind of, it is a dark brown, but it has those warm tones in it, which I think is very flattering. And then next up, I'm going to take this beautiful cranberry shade, and I'm taking that cranberry shade just on a Wayne Goss 18 brush, and I'm going to use this to deepen up the outer corner of my eyes. So I'm just, again, going to press this ever so slightly, basically just on the outer half of the eye. And because I don't want this as opaque as the shades on the lid, I am using a brush for this and just kind of really sweeping it into that outside corner. And this is obviously a dramatic look. I would not wear this during the daytime. This is more of an evening look for me. But I think it's just so beautiful and kind of a very romantic look. So again, I'm just sweeping this right onto the outside corner and basically just buffing it into the outer corner. I am not bringing it up into the crease at all because I don't want that deep color to be in my crease. And then afterwards, I am just going to run over again with my original fluffy brush just to make sure everything is blended. And then to just kind of finalize everything, I'm just going to go back in with that first champagne shade very lightly and just sweep it on my fingertips just to make sure that pigmentation is still there on the lid. And now I always do my eyes first just because I think no matter what kind of look you're creating, there always will be a little bit of fallout. And then I'll just kind of go over these edges here to make sure the line where I cleaned up isn't too harsh. And then for the lower lash line, I'm going to, again, take the lightest shade in the palette. And I'm just going to sweep it under the lower lash line just halfway across. And then I'm going to go back in with the second shade, and I'm going to place this shade just on the outside corner. And again, bringing it halfway to meet up with that lighter shade. And then connecting it to that outer corner to make sure there's no harsh lines there. So I think this look would be very appropriate for the holidays because, again, it is more of that evening look. So from here, I am just going to go ahead and apply mascara. I am going to take the Dior 3D Lash Primer and then use the Kjaer Weis Impossible Mascara. And then I'll be back to work on the face. Mascara is on, and for concealer, I'm going to go ahead and use the Peau Radiant Corrector for under eyes. This is in the shade Almond. I just love this, and again, because this is more of an evening look out, and the eyes, they're not like super smoky or anything. You could probably still wear this in the daytime, but for me, I'm just more comfortable wearing this type of look in the evening. But because these are more like sultry, dramatic eyes, I want to say, I like to keep the face and under eyes looking a little more natural. Just because, again, I like that contrast of a more dramatic eye with a really natural, fresh-faced look on the skin. So I'm going to keep the under eyes looking nice and fresh with this Radiant Corrector for under eyes. And I like to apply just a little bit here. And then again, I always clean up this outside corner. And I am a little blue there, so this kind of helps counteract that blueness as well. And if you want just a little bit more coverage with this product, you can just sit with this under your eyes for like 15 seconds. So I am curious, have you guys tried the Tom Ford concealer? I was debating picking it up, and like I don't mind spending the money. Like it is $115 here in Canada. And if it's a good concealer that's going to last me a while and it's like very worth that high price tag, I don't mind spending it, but I just have heard really mixed reviews. And I don't live where I live on an island, so I don't have a Tom Ford counter, so I can't go in and swatch any shades or anything like that to make sure I'm getting the correct match. And just shipping to where I live, again, it takes a while. So I was like, ugh, I don't know if I want to like have to send something back and blah, blah, blah if it's not worth it, because I did hear some mixed reviews. So curious if you guys have tried it and if you think it is worth the price tag, because I would like to try it out if it is, but if it's not, then I'm just blending this corrector in with my Beauty Blender sponge. For foundation, again, I want the skin to look really fresh and I want my skin to shine through and just, I want my skin to be enhanced, naturally enhanced, versus covering my skin up, especially with my eyes being more on the sultry side. So I do have two Tom Ford foundations. I have the Shade and Illuminate Soft Radiance Foundation. This does contain an SPF 50, and I wear the shade 5.6 Ivory Beige. And I also have the Tom Ford Stick Foundation in the shade 6.0 Natural. So both of these shades work for me. I will say this one is a little bit fuller coverage. This is definitely like a straight up medium coverage foundation. It is very beautiful, but I don't want something with this much coverage for the look that I have created. With this kind of eye, again, I want that contrasting effect where my skin looks more fresh-faced and that I can see like my freckles through everything. I actually find this foundation very comparable to the La Mer foundation, but I feel like this one actually looks less makeup-y on the skin than the La Mer. The La Mer has a bit more coverage, and not that it's a heavy foundation, but it just looks a bit heavier on the skin. And then the Traceless Stick Foundation is such a great product. This is one of my favorite foundations of all time. It has great longevity. Again, it is a Traceless Stick Foundation. You cannot see product sitting on your skin. So if you want that kind of like natural glam, like your skin but enhanced look, this is a great foundation, and it can be built up, but you can really see your skin through it, and it is traceless on the skin. You're not going to see makeup sitting on your skin, especially if you apply it in a more sheer way. So my favorite way to use this foundation, and again, I am going to use this today because I want that more natural glam look, I like to apply it by just kind of dipping my beauty blender in that product. And then what I do is I take the excess off just to make sure I get an even application with that stick foundation. And then I will go ahead and just apply it right onto the skin. And I just think that's the best way, especially for me having dry skin. If I just apply this like on my skin like this, I'm not going to be able to blend it out very well on my skin. And I didn't use a primer or anything just because I don't feel like I need a primer all the time. And I think this foundation works really great without a primer. So if you're looking for a great foundation that still looks like your skin but better, has great longevity, really sits on the skin beautifully. If you have dry skin, this looks great. And I think if you have oily skin, you could also wear this product without any issues. It just really looks beautiful on the skin. It never looks like makeup sitting on top of your skin. It really melts right in for a stick foundation. So I'm happy to pull this out again because it does look really fresh and beautiful on the skin, very skin-like. Now for this Tom Ford bronzer, I actually don't have their powder formula. I think it's the Glow. I don't know what their new one is, like the Soleil Glow or something. I returned that bronzer. I just don't like it on my skin. I feel like it was very powdery on my skin. And there's actually shimmer in it that I could see the shimmer particles sitting on top of my skin. I did pick up the shade Gold Dust, so I don't know if it was just that shade, but I just didn't like how I could see those shimmer particles sitting on top of my skin. And the bronzer that's my favorite from Tom Ford is actually discontinued. It is the Ultimate Bronzer. So this is a Baked Gelée formula. Now I feel like Tom Ford released this when no one was really aware of how to work with a Baked Gelée formula. So this was prior to like the Chantecaille bronzer that we all know and love now. But because this formula it's like I said, a Baked Gelée, so it's harder to pick up. And I think a lot of people are complaining about the color payoff, but you just need to use a denser brush. And now that there's so many more Baked Gelée formulas, I feel like they should make a comeback with this bronzer because it is my favorite Tom Ford bronzer, and I'm so sad you can't get it anymore. Again, it just is so skin-like and beautiful. But since it's not available, I'm not going to use it on camera. I'm going to take something very similar. So this is the Chantecaille Sirena bronzer. Again, another Baked Gelée formula. And I feel like the tone and how they both sit on the skin is very, very similar. Now, while this doesn't have any shimmer to it, and neither does the Tom Ford, by the way, it just looks so skin-light and just gives a very subtle glow. And it really melts into the skin. So about 10 minutes after you've applied it, you can really see it just mesh into the skin. So I'm gonna pick up product, and even though you don't really get, like you never on these Baked Gelée formulas get powder kick up, I still wipe away the excess just out of habit. And then I'm just going to bronze up the skin. And again, I think this formula looks really well with this natural glam look because again, this formula really is skin enhancing. And it never looks overdone or over the top. I just love those formulas that become one with the skin versus sitting on top, because that's never a good look when you're wearing makeup. I'm going to finish off the eyes, so I am going to take the Honeymoon palette again. I'm just going to kind of do what I did originally on the lower lash line, but I just want to touch up because I did apply concealer. So I'm again just going to start with this deeper bronze shade here, and I'm going to run that across the lower lash line. And then going back into the lightest shade in the Honeymoon palette, and I'm going to take that halfway across the lower lash line again, but focusing on the inner corner here. I'm also going to take the lightest shade again on a MAC 228 brush. I'm just going to bring this into the inner kind of crease here, so the inner corner, inner crease, just to really brighten that area up. And then I'm going to leave the eyes like that, but I'm going to just quickly add some lower lash mascara. Time for highlighter. Now, you have heard me talk about the Tom Ford Reflex Gilt in my past few videos. Beautiful baked jelly formula that really just melts into the skin. It really enhances the look of your skin. It can be built up to a more intense highlighter, but it also can start off on that more sheer level. It's beautiful, no glitter particles at all to this. Beautiful if you want to mix them back and forth together. But there's another highlighter that I love from Tom Ford, and again, this is another baked jelly formula. So this is the Moodlight in the shade 01 Moodlight, and it comes with these two shades. Now you have this kind of white shade here, and then this more, it's almost like a coppery shade. It is so beautiful. So there is a swatch of those two shades. Now this is ultimate elegant highlighter. So this is even more subtle than the Reflex Gilt. So this is very skin enhancing. Again, these particles in here are so very refined. They are so sophisticated on the skin. This truly looks like you've applied a liquid highlighter to your skin. It really gives you that beautiful effect that a more cream highlight would. Very, very natural on the skin. So if you're looking for a very natural highlight and you tend to like the look of cream highlighters, but again, cream highlighters can be more finicky to apply. Sometimes they can just look overdone on the skin if you don't apply them in the right way. And they also have the tendency to pick up on powder. They can feel sticky throughout the day. They're just not, I don't find them very user-friendly. Not all of them, there's some that I like, but it's a very small list. This is a stunning formula, one of the most sophisticated highlighters that I've ever experienced. If you're just looking for the most elegant glow, pick this one up because it truly is so elegant. Like I said, it is just, it's such a beautiful sheen. It truly looks like applying it to my hand, it looks like my hand is wet and dewy versus any product sitting on top of the skin. It is so lovely. So there are no, like I said, absolutely zero glitter particles. And this shade right here, the deeper one, this is beautiful as a one and done eyeshadow. So you can just apply this to the lids during the day and it gives you that glossy eyed effect that, again, it gives you that glossy eye so your eyelids almost look a little wet. So it's very beautiful. And again, because I want the skin to look very natural, I want that more fresh face look, I'm going to go in with the Moodlight highlighter. So with this formula, obviously this shade is quite lighter and this is deeper. I've heard some people say that they use this as a bronzer. This, to me, even though it's still a very sophisticated sheer highlighter that just gives a very subtle sheen, I think it's too much of a sheen to use as a bronzer or even a highlight or a blush topper, just because, again, it is meant to be more of a highlighter. So I really enjoy these shades mixed together. So I'm just going to take my brush and go back and forth between the two. And it's just going to, when you apply it, you will see it just melt into the skin right away. This isn't one of those products where you have to wait 10 minutes. It's just going to melt into the skin right upon application and just give the most beautiful subtle sheen. This will look absolutely beautiful if you are sitting in person next to someone because, again, you're not going to see that makeup on your skin. It's not going to be a too intense highlighter that's going to be noticeable on the skin. It's going to melt right in. So this is a very beautiful in-person highlighter. Gosh, I haven't picked up this highlighter in so long and I'm upset about it now. So I think it was good that I did one of these full faces of Tom Ford. Now for blush, Tom Ford has reformulated their blushes. I'm very sad. I loved this single blush in the shade Inhibition. One of my favorites of all time. I've hit pen on it. But I picked up the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Blush Duo in the shade 05 Sun Drunk. This was just the shade that called to me the most because I feel like it was the most subdued out of all of them. All the other blushes looked very punchy and intense. And I just like something that's more of like your cheeks but better type of look. And this is pretty much what this gives me. Now this is a very powdery blush when you dip your brush into it. So I'm just going to dip back, forth, tap off the excess. and you will see tons of color payoff on your brush. So what I like to do is just take off that excess on the back of my hand and apply to the skin. But even though this is a powdery formula, it is not powdery at all on the skin. This is very similar to the bronzer that I was talking about, in that when you apply it, it's like, oh wow, that's a beautiful blush. It gives you great color payoff. It's lovely. But when you wait about 10 minutes, it really melts into the skin and just becomes one with the skin and gives you a beautiful flush that just really enhances your look. And this color, it definitely has enough punch that it looks really healthy on the skin and doesn't look too intense, I don't think. Like, the color isn't too punchy where it looks obnoxious or fake or anything like that. This does give a really nice lifting effect to the skin and just makes you look healthy and lovely as well. So again, all the powder products that I applied, they do that great job of really melting into the skin. So it's almost as if you've applied cream products, but they're way easier to use than cream products. But you get that same kind of effect where they look skin-like. I really like those products that really enhance the skin, that really make your skin texture look better when you've applied them, and they don't take over the look, so it's not going to be too intense makeup. You still get that natural glam look. Usually I'm not a huge powder person. Like, I don't usually apply powder at the end of my makeup application. I'll usually wait a few hours, but after discovering this Clé de Peau refining pressed powder, I am now a powder person. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this to set down my makeup. And I love this product in particular. I'm just using a Sonia G Face Pro brush. Again, it's more powdery powder, so you can just kind of sweep off that excess. I don't usually, because it never looks powdery on the skin at all. This is the most blurring and perfecting powder, but it blurs and perfects without adding any coverage. It doesn't add any color to your foundation. So what it does is it will set your makeup down underneath and absolutely blur and perfect everything without adding color, without adding coverage or anything like that. I don't know if you could tell the difference when I applied it, but it literally looks like I applied an Instagram filter over top of my face. It is the most smoothing powder. It doesn't look powdery on the skin at all. It looks so beautiful. This is the best powder I have ever tried. Like I said, I never thought anything would replace the Chantecaille, but this I like just a little bit better. So unfortunately I don't have a Tom Ford powder, but I feel like I just use this one anyways because of how amazing it is. I will not be able to shut up about that powder now. But I actually don't have a Tom Ford lip liner, so I'm just going to take my go-to Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Top lip liner. And to complete the lips, I'm going to take the Tom Ford. This is the Gloss Luxe Brilliant Lip Gloss in the shade In the Buff. Now I'm just forgoing lipstick because I don't really like lipstick on an everyday basis. And I think when the eyes also are dramatic, like I said, I'm keeping the skin very natural, your skin but enhanced. I also like the lips to look that way too. I like to have one focal feature. So for this, my eyes are the focal feature. And then I like to keep the skin and the lips looking soft. So again, I'm gonna meld everything into my lips so that I don't have lip products sitting on top of my skin. And my lips just look a little more worn in and lived in versus like I've applied like harsh lines to my lips. Again, I kind of do that with my face. I don't like harsh lines. I like that look with my lips as well. Maybe not for everyone, but I just enjoy it. And this lip gloss formula is one of the best on the market. The texture, the consistency, how it feels on the lips. It's a very thin consistency, a thin texture. It just feels so comfortable. It doesn't feel too opaque. It doesn't give a crazy amount of color payoff because, again, it's not a thick texture. But I really like that in a gloss because it just feels comfortable all day long. I can wear this at ease without having to worry about how it's going to look because it's just very hydrating. And one of the best luxury lip glosses. But while we are at the lips, I want to quickly mention the Tom Ford lipsticks. So while I really love the formula of these, I think the Tom Ford lipsticks, I have clearly used this a lot, I think the formula is beautiful. It's not too opaque. It's more of like, I don't like the matte formula, but I like something with a more satin finish. They just hug the lips, very comfortable. The problem I have with the Tom Ford lip glosses and why I don't really recommend them is because all of the ones that I have bought have expired in 6 months. Sometimes they don't even last 6 months. They just expire so freaking fast that I don't get the use out of them that I like when I buy a luxury lipstick. But I do recommend the lip gloss formula. For some reason, these last a lot longer than the lipsticks. So I would just, if you're going to be spending your money on one lip product from Tom Ford, definitely the lip gloss. I just prefer this formula. I think it's very comfortable, very flattering. Very beautiful. You get the super luxe packaging that I think just looks beautiful if you carry it in your handbag anyways. But that is it for today's video using my almost full face of Tom Ford makeup. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the look that I created with the Honeymoon palette. I just think this palette is absolutely beautiful. Again, you could wear it for every day. You just focus on these first two shades. I think it's a very sultry, romantic palette. These tones are absolutely perfect for this time of year. This screams fall foliage to me, and I just think it makes a great winter palette. The formula of this shadow, if you haven't experienced the wet to dry formula from Tom Ford, really try it out. It looks so beautiful. It's, again, one of those very sophisticated, elegant eye looks, very elegant formula that is so beautiful, never over the top, never overdone, doesn't have any glitter chunks to it. It is very refined, very, very beautiful. One of my favorite formulas of all time. And then using some other Tom Ford favorites. I feel like I neglect focusing on Tom Ford a lot on my channel, so I thought I'd just bring you this more full face. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your favorite Tom Ford products down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.